Brought to you by Penguin.
Coming Home to Liverpool by Kate Eastham. Read by Dorothy Lawrence. Elizabeth Blackwell, 1821 to 1910, was the first woman to obtain a medical degree in America and the first female doctor on the register of the General Medical Council in Britain. In 1857, together with her sister, Dr. Emily Blackwell, 1826 to 1910, and another physician, Dr. Marie Zakrzewska, she founded the New York Infirmary for Women and Children, the very first hospital in America specifically for women. The pioneering Blackwell sisters were born in England, but they emigrated to America with their family in 1832. Determined to be a doctor, Elizabeth withstood many rejections from medical colleges until she finally gained a place, obtaining her qualification in 1849. Sadly, whilst undergoing further training in Europe, she contracted an eye disease from one of her patients and lost the sight in one eye. This meant that her dream of becoming a surgeon would never be realized. Although Elizabeth had warned her younger sister of the grim prospects faced by women doctors, Emily was determined to follow the same path. A brilliant woman, she graduated with the highest honours and became a surgeon at their New York Infirmary. 2 years later, Elizabeth returned to Britain to pursue other interests, and Emily took over the management of the infirmary, running it successfully for a further 40 years. Chapter 1. Not only the life of your patients may depend on your faithfulness to duty, but by it you may also influence for good their virtue and happiness. Florence Nightingale. Liverpool, 1872. "Nursey! Nursey!" called a row of barefoot boys, sitting cheekily on a wall near the Albert Dock, swinging their grubby legs as Eddie walked by. She lunged at them and pretended to tickle their feet, laughing more herself than any of the boys. Then, pulling her nurse's cape back into place, she picked up speed, expertly threading her way through the crowds of people making their way towards the harbour, one or two of them nodding, smiling or murmuring, "Evening, sister," as they went on their way. She needed to breathe some air, gather herself, as she often did before going back to the hospital for supplies. Her days on the district were demanding. Out in people's homes, the nurses were working on their own and dealing with everything. But the work was good, and today she was especially pleased, having had a real breakthrough with one of her patients, a young mother of 2 small children, suffering terribly with consumption. When she'd first visited Sylvia, she'd found her very breathless and spitting blood. It was thought by all involved that time would be short, and for the first week Eddie had cried every single day when she closed the door of that house behind her, leaving Sylvia as comfortable as she could be, propped up in bed, with little Rosanna nestled under one arm and Archie under the other. But today, after she'd gently helped her to wash, combed her hair and applied soothing cream to the reddened skin on her elbows and the notches of her spine, Sylvia had smiled and said she wanted to sit out of bed, watch the children play for a bit. Eddie had been delighted to help her, and even more pleased to note that her breathing was less laboured. The steam inhaler that she'd advised seemed to be making a difference at last.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?